All right, so we are continuing with our theme or topic, the restaurant and food, right? We did pour and para a little while ago, so I wanted to follow up with some exercises this week and next week, right? Then we have a little piece of the conversation I want to continue at the restaurant where we'll actually place an order. If we have time, we could do a listening comprehension. And I want to go over how we form positive commands in Spanish. I think it might help us a little bit with the situations. All right, so we have some sentences on the screen here. And you have to choose whether or not the sentence takes por or it takes para. So let's go back first and review these rules for por and para, right? So, and of course you have these in your notes. So this is just a quick review, right? All right, so por is for if you're given the cause or reason that something happened. So the man died from lack of water, por falta de agua. If you're giving a length of time, 2 hours, I studied for 2 hours, we use por. On behalf of or in favor of, I work for one, or on behalf of one. I didn't vote for anyone, right? I didn't vote in favor of anyone. Frequency, so often you do something again. So time again, right? Voy al cine 2 veces por semana. Twice per week, if only, right? I go to the movies twice a week. In exchange for, so when we're talking about payment for something, ella pagó, sorry, $5 por el libro. So she paid $4 for the libro. So she gave the $5, not $4, $5. She gave $5 and she got the book, exchange for. Through, along, or by. So voy por el parque. I'm going through the park. I'm going along the park. I'm going by the park. Right? Gratitude, gracias por la manzana. When we talk about how we do something. So voy al cine por autobús. I go to the cinema by bus. Me llamo por teléfono. He called me or she called me by phone. Right? All right. Para, on the other hand, purpose, what something is used for. Es un vaso para agua. Right? So this is for water. Effect, I study to learn. So another way to think of this effect one is in order to. If you can fit in order to into the sentence, then we can use para. Estudio en order aprender. So I study in order to learn. Estudio para aprender, right? For a recipient of something, so el regalo es para ella, right? And you could also think of this as destination. You have a gift and the final person it's going to is the destination. That's the gift. Right. Recipient is sort of a destination for the gift, right? All right, future point in time. So you could also think of this as a deadline. A time by which something must happen. La tarea es para mañana. So the homework task, the task is for tomorrow or for the morning, right? Employment, trabajo para Microsoft. So who you work for, right? Comparison, para un niño es muy alto. For a boy is very tall. Towards, voy para el parque. So this too is also destination. You're going to a place, you use para, right? Now, I just want to draw your attention to this one. These are very similar, but in English, but different in Spanish, right? So when you're talking about the company you work for, you say para. But if you're doing something on behalf of someone, if the meaning you wish to convey is that you're doing it on behalf of the person, because they couldn't be here, they didn't want to be here, they're sick, you're the representative, then you use por, right? All right, so let's get to the exercise then. Okay, we want to put in the missing word, but we also want to be able to say why that word is the word that we're going to use, right? For that reason, he returned late. So something eso volvió tarde. Is it por or is it para? And why? Right, so the first one on the list, cause or reason, right? All right, so por, yes? Oh, sorry. Let me just make it so I could type. Right, okay, so first one, por, right? And our explanation is cause slash reason, right? All right, I'm gonna do the first perhaps 5 with you, and then I'm gonna ask you to try 6 to 10 on your own, right? All right, the student went for the pencil. What is that? Okay, so I think this one is a little trickier because it depends on what we mean, right? It depends on if we mean he's going by the pencil. Let me change for to buy. So like he walks by the pencil. What would your answer be no? But if I tell you he's walking by the pencil, right, it would be por, right? So through, along, or by, por el lápiz. Okay. A house costs at least $30,000. Una casa cuesta something lo menos $30,000. I don't know what university I living in if a house costs $30,000. I wish we could live there. So we're talking about money. Money for a house. Not actually making a payment, but all right, so por lo menos. Right? Una casa cuesta por lo menos $30,000. Now, you could also memorize the expression por lo menos, meaning for the least or at the least, right? Oh, sorry. Very, very sorry. No, okay, why is this happening? Anybody, why is the highlight color? Okay, let's try that one, right. All right, so we can memorize this expression as well as the expression on top, por eso means therefore, right? And por lo menos means for the least, right? Or at least. Okay, number 4, I arrived late because of the traffic. Llegué tarde, something el tráfico. Now, I have found when you could actually fill in because of, it's usually one of the two. Is the traffic the cause or the reason? Right. So therefore, if it's cause or reason, what would it be? Por. Good. So llegué tarde por el tráfico. All right. Okay. Is that number 5? That was 4. Okay. Last one, and then you will try 6 to 10 on you. Did you send me the money by mail? So by doing something, a way of doing something, means of doing something. Just now we had por teléfono in the example. Right. Por again. Right. Good. All right. Okay. Try 6 to 10. I'm gonna give you a couple minutes on your own. You can put your answers in the chat. All right, so in 6 to 10, I have 1 as para and all the rest as 4. So you can check over your answers, understood that is also what you have, right? All right, let's go. So I paid $20 for this shirt, so we're pretty clear on if it's money for something, it's por, and this is exchange, right? All right, the stone house was built by the Incas. La casa de piedra fue construida por los Incas. Por, right? What is the reason for this one? Let's go back to the little graphic. I'm torn between on behalf of or in favor of, but also the cause or the reason and means of doing something. So the Incas did it, they were the cause of the pyramids being built. Pyramids? No. Stone house, right? As well as the means of it being built with the Inca. Right? So perhaps a simpler way to think of it is by someone through along by. All right, I'm gonna leave the reason a little blank here. All right, number 8, the birds run through the streets. So this one is a little more straightforward. Through is por, right? So when we have places and we're kind of vague about the places because they're running through the streets, does that mean up the street, down the street, which street? We don't know. It's just through the streets. It's very kind of vague. We use por. If we know the street name is Calle Santa Ana or Calle Rafael or whatever, and they're running to the street, then we would use para, right? So this is through, along, by. All right, he will do it by Monday. This is a deadline, right? It's time in the future. Future time slash, well, I'm also calling it deadline, right? He will do it for Monday. So para, right? The destination is Monday. So another way to think about it, right? Fidel habló something 4 horas. So this is duration of time. which is also pour, right? Did I touch something? I think I touched something on the top of this refreshing, sorry. One person, two people, all right, three. Okay, so commands, with the exception of one, the two form of the command, it's really formed with the subjunctive, right? But a lot of people, a lot of schools don't teach the subjunctive. The subjunctive is technically not on the syllabus to teach. It's just you're supposed to recognize it. So when I explain it, I'm going to explain it without the subjunctive. But if you know, if you've done the subjunctive, then you'll also understand it a different way when we do it, right? All right, so let's get started. We're doing commands. What is a command in English? Like what is a command? So this is our heading, right? Positive command in Spanish. What is a command ordinarily? Basically, we're telling somebody, right, we're giving them an instruction, we're giving them a task, we're telling them to do something. Right, great. All right. Now, positive commands are where you say do, right? Everybody could understand this is positive, right? This is do whatever, do X, Y, Z. The negative commands are going to be do not, right? So you might tell somebody stand, or you might tell somebody do not stand. Tell someone sit, you might tell somebody do not sit, right? So we have positive and negative commands to think about. And then the other thing we have to think about is the different people. So first, there's a two form of a command, right? Which is the informal. Then there's a nosotros form of a command if it involves us. So every time we say let us, like let us do commands, let us get started, let us sit down. That is a nosotros command. Then we have the usted form, right? Which is sometimes shortened to VD or UD, right? But it's the same form. This is a formal command. So you use it for someone that you don't know. So a stranger, a figure of an authority figure, right? Your teacher, your principal. And then we have ustedes, right? Which is you plural. VDS or UDS, right? So you plural. And ustedes covers both formal and informal. If you're talking to a group of people, right? Good. So that's one of the things we have to contend with, that there's a different form for each of these. So in English, if you want to tell your friend stop, you would say stop. If you want to say, if you say we should stop, you might say, well, we should stop or let's stop. It's just let's plus the verb, right? For the state form, a stranger, you still say stop. You might say "sir," ma'am, or excuse me, but you still say stop, right? But in Spanish, the verb is expressed differently each time. Okay, so let's get into that. So the two form first, right? And a reminder that this is informal. And this is singular, right? So one person, who's your friend? All right. How do we form commands? The two form? We go to the third person singular of the verb, whatever that verb is. We take the third person singular form. Right? So the third person singular form of the verb is how we form the command, the il state form of the verb. So let's look at some examples. You want to tell, you're speaking to your friend, you want to tell your friend, speak. The verb to speak is hablar. The third person form of hablar is hablo, hablas, habla, right? H-A-B-L-E. So you say to your friend, habla, right? Speak or talk, right? All right. Another example, comer. Third person singular of comer is come, eat, right? Your friend comes to see you, you put a plate of food in front of them, you tell them, eat, right? All right, so the normal way that we form third person singular, you take off the ER here, right? Take off the AR, so that's what minus AR minus ER is. And we add the A because that is the third person form, that's what we add for ele usted, and we add E, that's what we add for ele usted. One more. Escribir. You want to tell your friend, write. Right? So escribir, escribe. So we take off the ER, minus ER there, plus add an E, escribe. Right? Make sense? Anybody confused? All right, so for practice, because I know some of y'all have already written all of this because you're fast writers, right? Give two commands, as in TU accent, two commands for pedir. Well, wait, let me give you a normal one first. What's special about pedir? Beber, mirar, vivir, right? And those are normal, regular, nothing exciting about them. And now here are the exciting ones. Pedir, recomendar, recomendar. And um, sentir. No, not sentir. Sentar, to sit. And if you're feeling really adventurous or you've done it before, so you know, you could add in the reflexive pronoun, right? All right. Now, why are 4, 5, and 6 tricky ones? Because they are the type, the group, they fall into the group we did last week, right? They are stem changing. Stem changing. Remember the second to last syllable is the stem that changes, right? So, what are these stems? This is E to I. So I'll put I in brackets here. This is E to IE. And this is also E to IE. Right? All right, we're giving you a few minutes. Try these. If anybody is confused, please say, right? All right, so if we are turning these infinitives into the two commands, so you want to tell your friend drink, you give them a glass of water, you want to say drink, right? So we take beber, we take off the ER, we add the third person singular ending. It's an ER verb, so we go OESE, right? So we get baby, all right? That's our command. For mirar, We take off the AR ending, we add A, right? We get mira. All right, vivir, your favorite soap opera characters in a coma. You don't want them to die. You say to the TV, live, right? All right, so take off the IR. It's a IR verb, so the endings are OESE. So we add E, vive. All right? All right, now in the others, it's the same rule for the endings, but the stems change, right? So pedir. So you're in a restaurant and you're telling your friend to order for us. Take off the ending and you will add E, right? So pide. Right? Pide. Right. Okay, recomendar. Again, you tell your friend, oh, sorry. Well, right, what do you recommend? So you want to tell the waiter, recommend something, right? So that's a command. You're asking the waiter to recommend something. That's a command, right? So we take off the AR and we add A, and we change the E. So we change the C, so it becomes recomienda, right? Now there are ways to get around doing this. But recomienda is the fully conjugated way, right? All right, then we have sintar. Take off the AR, add an A. This is stem changing. So sienta, right? 1 second, guys. Now, do y'all remember what it sounds like when your teacher tells you to sit in class, like in Spanish? They might say sometimes siéntate, or they may say sometimes they're talking to the whole class, siéntense, right? So, you'll know, I'm just mentioning this. We're not doing the grammar rule or the practice right now, right? But I'm just drawing this to your attention. Sintar, to sit, is a reflexive verb, right? So, you have to do something with that pronoun. So we're talking to the two persons, so the pronoun is te, right? And object pronouns are generally added to the end of positive commands, right? Now, when we add this pronoun, if we just said this word as it's written, we would want to put the stress here, the second to last syllable, right? However, it belongs on this E, so we put an accent, siéntate, right? Because it was sienta before, and the stress was falling on the E, sienta. But when we add in the T, so that we keep the stress on the E, we put an accent, right? Okay, anybody is writing from the screen, please say, otherwise I'm gonna count to 10 and clear away the writing, right? The text, the typed up text will remain, but the handwritten stuff will go. So if you are still writing, you need to say, otherwise 10 seconds. Nosotros. Nosotros. So as I said before, that's the let's version of a command. Let's go to the mall. Let's talk on the phone. Let's do our homework. Let's revise. Let's sleep. Let's whatever, right? So it is the first person plural of the subjunctive for those of you who have done subjunctive, right? First person plural. First person plural is what form? The nosotros form, right? So it's the nosotros form of the subjunctive. If you've done subjunctive. If you have not done subjunctive, then learn it this way. If it's an AR verb, use the EMOS ending. Ordinarily, like if it were hablar and you conjugate it in the present tense, you would say hablamos. you would add AMOS. But for a command, instead of AMOS, you're going to add EMOS, right? This is for people who have not done subjunctive as yet. This is how we form a command. When we do subjunctive, we'll go over this again, right? All right, so no such ending is EMOS for AR verbs, right? Right. All right. Now for the other verbs now, so for ER and IR verbs, the ending is the opposite, AMOS. Right? So ER verbs and IR verbs, we add AMOS. So comer becomes comamos, let's eat. Vivir becomes vivamos, let's live. Any questions? All right, so let's see, what can you try? Let's try Sintar. Actually, let's not try Sintar. Sorry, let me take this off. Let me think of some of this. Let's try mirar. That is a fully normal verb. We did escribir. We could try escribir. And we could try, what's one more we could try? And a regular verb we could try. All right, let's try these two for now while I think of another one. Right, and one other note I want to put here. Irregular verbs have irregular forms, right? So after we go over the general rules, eventually we'll go over the irregulars. Right, so for mirar, if we follow the rule, we take off the AR and we would add EMOS. So it would be miremos. Let's look. And escribir, we would take off the IR, we would add AMOS. So it would be escribamos. Let's write. What about nadar? To swim. We would take off the AR. What would we add? We would add EMOS, so it would be nadimos, right? All right. Now, this is a general rule for regular verbs. If the verb is irregular, like for instance, tener, tengo, tienes, tiene, etc., is irregular, right? If it has an irregular first person, it's irregular. So it will be slightly different. The ending will be the same, but the stem will be different. So we will discuss those another time. We're just going over the general rules first. All right, anybody still writing here? I'll give you all 1 more minute, right? Right. Usted and ustedes. So, we're dealing with, if you've done a subjunctive, to form positive commands for usted and ustedes, we use third person singular and plural of the subjunctive. Obviously, the third person singular is the usted form, and the third person plural is the ustedes form. Right? So usted and ustedes. All right, so what do we do here? We have to start with the yo form of whatever the present tense is, right? So you could imagine, well, do I have examples? Just not, let me see if I have examples. No, I don't. So the yo form means, you don't have to write this down, the examples will be below. Like for mirar, it would be miro. For beber, it would be bebo, right? The O form, right? Escribir, it would be escribo, right? And then there are some verbs that have an irregular first person. So for tener, it would be tengo. For conducir, it would be conduzco, etc. Right? Whatever the first person is of the verb. So you start from there. That's your starting point. Then you have to take off the O ending. This O at the end, we drop it. Right? So this is gone, this is gone, this is gone, 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 right? And you can see what you're left with, which is your stem. It's a different stem than if you took it, in some cases, it's a different stem than if you took it from the infinitive, right? So that's why we say we go to the first person, your form, drop the O, and then we're left with that stem. Then we add specific endings for usted and ustedes. So for AR verbs, right? For AR verbs, we add E if it's usted, but EN if it's ustedes, right? And you could guess what will happen for ER and IR verbs, right? You'll add the AR endings. So you'll add A for usted and AN for ustedes, right? So for ER and IR verbs now, A if it's for usted and AN if it's for ustedes, right? Right, so we could do some examples. I'm gonna write the examples on the left here. And do I have examples? No, I don't. Right. And then you could take down the examples or you could do it with me. All right, so I'm going to put these back across here. So for mirar, we follow this. We go to the yo form first, miro, right? We drop the ending. Then it becomes M-I-R. So usted, right? It would be mire. But ustedes, it would be miren. Right? All right, let's do another one. Do I have a, no, let's do beber. Right? We would get the first person singular, the yo form, bebo. We would drop the O and then to the stem, we would say usted, beba, right? Because for the ER verbs, you go to A, and for AR, you go to E. So usted beba or ustedes, beban, right? All right, let's do an irregular one like tener. Okay, so for tener, which is an ER verb, that's important to remember. The yo form is tengo. All right, we drop the O and it's an ER verb. So we add, we say usted, tenga, you have it, right? Ustedes tengan, right? All right, so you guys try with, let me give you some practice verbs and you can put the answers in the chat, right? If anybody is confused, please say. All right, vivir, hablar, try escribir, right? We could try pedir. So pedir is stem changing, right? When the stem changes in the yo form, the E to I, you will have to keep that for the commands, right? So it'll become P9, P9. But all right, so work it out for these four and you can send it in the chat. And after we are done with that, we can take a break. I'll say it again. If anybody's confused, please say, right? All right, so for vivir, we go to vivo. It's an IR verb, so we're looking at A and AN for the endings, right? So it would be viva for usted and vivan, plural, right? Ustedes, right? All right, for hablar, it's an AR verb, so we're looking at E and EN for the endings. So we go hablo, and then we take HABLE, hable, and hablen, right? Escribir, IR verb. If you all notice a mistake anyway, you could say, right? Escriba, escriban. All right, pedir, stem changing, E to I, so pida, pidan. Okay? Anybody confused? Please say. All right, so when we come back, we are going to situations and we're going to try to learn what we just practiced with command, not learn, sorry. Use what we just practiced with commands to answer those, right? So next week, we have to do negative commands, negative versions of all, which isn't so bad. And then also we have to talk about irregular commands, right? Ones that don't follow these rules, right? Last week we did these first three. And we said it was a little challenging, thinking of what to say and how to say it. So I tried this time. So we have the last three. And I do have clues that will appear on the right to sort of give us some ideas on how to say it, right? So the first thing, send a text to your parents asking them to bring back a meal, bring you back a meal and a dessert from the restaurant where they are. All right, now usually we're not trying to write more than a sentence for this, right? So think about it. What are the different parts that you will have to put in? So to me, when I look at it, I think I will have to make sure that somehow I indicate that it's my parents, right? And then I'll be asking something. And then a meal and dessert, right? Do I need to say it's from the restaurant? Do I need to put in the name of the restaurant? Probably, because it mentioned maybe. So this is a question mark, right? We're not sure. All right, so what are the clues I have on the right-hand side here? Let's see. So can you, if you're asking someone, can you, we could use poder to be able to, right? So it's like saying, are you able to, right? So I'm asking them, I could use that. I want to tell them to buy, comprar. Now, what is the verb for to bring? Does anybody know a verb for to bring? Or to carry? Tomar is to have. Good guess. So, if you couldn't remember to bring or to carry, you could say, I would like to have. Quiero tomar. It's not exactly what is in the situation, but it would get the message across. Right? So quiero tomar. If in a bind, if you couldn't think of anything else, right? But two other verbs I will give you is llevar, which is to carry / to bring, depending on the context. And then also traer, which is to bring, right? Right. Okay, so, and then I have comprar. So if you couldn't think of traer, you couldn't think of llevar, but I bet you could think of comprar, which is to buy, right? So could you buy me a meal and a dessert, and it would do the job, right? Our meal and dessert, you choose what meal can you say in Spanish and what dessert can you say in Spanish. You wouldn't say literally una comida y un postre. No. You'd say the name of the meal. So what do you want? Anything you could say. What would you say? Can you say hamburger? Can you say tacos? Can you say fries? Can you say sandwich? Can you say, what can you say? Soup? Right, so whatever you could say, that is what you say. If you could say paella, say paella. If you could say pastel as the dessert, say pastel. Papas fritas, no problem. Helado, no problem. Great. All right, so the meal and dessert, what other clue do I have here? Do I have one more clue? Right, how do you say for me in Spanish? In English, you would say, please bring X and Y for me. What is going to happen with that for me? For me is going to be an object pronoun, right? So we will have to translate it as me. And we will have to put it most likely, possibly in front of the verb, right? So I'm just drawing that to our attention. That's one little tricky grammar thing. And we probably want to say please, but I bet you all know how to say please just fine, right? All right. So how did you all learn to say sandwich in school? Do you know the word bocadillo? Or did you learn sandwich? Sandwich. Right? Either one of these would work fine if you're saying sandwich, right? And you could say, if you want to say ham sandwich or whatever kind of sandwich, you say de, oh, sorry, de, and then you put the word, right? Sandwich de, and then you put the word. So de jamón, de queso, cheese, de pollo, de whatever, right? All right, no problem. Okay, guys, what else do you want to know how to say, but you feel you don't know how to say? Let me hear. Look at the situation. Anything else you think you don't know how to say, but you want to say? Now, if you feel confident with the commands, you could say, bring me. Mama y papa, bring me. And you'd use the ustedes form. And then you tell them whatever. But if you don't feel comfortable with the command form, you say, can you bring me? Pueden llevarme. Pueden traerme. Pueden comprar para mí. Right? All right. Take a minute or two and try and put it together. And if you can't put it together, just try. String together whatever you can, and we'll discuss it in the chat, right? Right, so these are marks out of 3. And if you try, and what you try is in Spanish and not English, it's very unlikely you won't get somebody marks. You'll get somebody marks. That's all you need, right? And some of you, it turns out, will get all the marks. All right, let's go. Let's try with poder first, right? So can you, if you're talking to one parent, it would be puede, puedes, sorry. But if it's both parents, it's pueden, right? So mama, since it told you mother and father, we could put in mama y papa, right? I gave you poder, so let's use poder. Pueden. Can you bring me, can you buy for me? Pueden traer. So are you able to bring? And then for me would be me, but since we have an infinitive, we put the me at the end. What was it we were doing a few weeks ago? We were practicing putting the pronouns at the end. It was reflexive verbs, right? So a similar concept. If you have an object pronoun in play and you have an infinitive, you put it at the end of the infinitive, right? Mama y papa pueden traerme un um, bocadillo de, oh no, no, let's go with tacos. Dos tacos de pescado, so 2 fish tacos, or whatever meal you wanted, y un flan del restaurante, por favor, right? Okay, and you know, once you have your version that's been approved or edited, you could keep that as the example. You don't need to take this down, right? If you didn't do one, you could take this down as an example. If you have any questions, please say. Right, we're going to number 5 then, right? Oh, sorry. You are going to your friend's favorite restaurant. Text her asking for recommendations. Oh, all right. Sorry. Let's just go back to this for a second. Number 4 for a second and talk about it with the command versions. All right. So if we are using poder, poder is not a command, right? What would be the command form of to be able to? It would be like if somebody couldn't lift something and you said be able to lift it. It would be like that, right? So poder would not be any command form. It's if you were using traer or llevar, you would put it in the command form. So if we take or even comprar. So if you take comprar, right? And you say you have comprar and you want to put that, you want to tell the parents, so mama and papa buy something for me, right? Let's follow the rules. So take off the AR. We would add for ustedes now, we would get the yo form, right? We take off the O and we would add en, compren, right? So compren those tacos, blah 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 blah. For me, right, I would have to say comprenme. I would have to add the object pronoun at the end. Comprenme, right? Or you could say compren dos tacos or whatever para me. Maybe that might be a little less y un flan para me, right? All right, now poder would be one of the irregular verbs because to form a command from, because it has a stem that changes. So we would have to go puedo, take off the O, and then add the ending. All right, any questions about any of this? All right, and I keep doing it. Okay, you are going to your friend's favorite restaurant, text her asking her for a recommendation. So this one we may have to use commands for. Have what? I have me, I have recommend. Remember, it's recomendar and IE. It's time changing. And then you choose the name of the restaurant. Right. Okay. How do we say what? Okay, good. All right. So K All right. To me is going to be me, right? All right. What are we going to do with this recomendar? Actually, I set you all up. I want you to use the command, but I put it in a question, so we can't do that. So, we'll come back to this one. Tell your friend, recommend a dish. Dish is un plato. To me, please. Right? So, recomendar is the verb. Recomiendo will be the yo form because it is stem changing. So it would count as one of the irregular ones I told you would exist, right? So for the two form, oh, actually, it doesn't matter because it's a two form, so we don't need subjunctive. Subjunctive not getting involved. What is the two form command of recomendar? You're saying to your friend, recommend. We would say recomienda. Very good. So you're saying to your friend, let's give her a name, Anna. Recommend, I'm leaving a space here because we have to come back and put something. Oh, no, we don't. It goes at the end. Recomiéndame un plato del restaurante de Miguel's restaurant. Por favor. Right? Make sense? All right. Now to go back up to where I set you up above, I would say que so what que me recomiendas? What do you recommend? So this is present tense. Que me recomiendas del restaurante de Miguel? Right? From Miguel's restaurant. Okay? All right, this one is okay. This one was easier. Number 5 was easier. Let's look at 6. 6 should be easy too. It's the same thing, but instead of a to form, using an I form now. So no commands needed here. Your family are celebrating a special occasion tonight and want to go to a special place. Leave them a note recommending somewhere to go and giving a reason for your choice. I want to erase this part with Anna. Anybody is still writing this part with Anna? Okay, so I'm going to erase this part with Anna down here, right? Okay, so why do I have you? Okay, I guess we're saying you to the family, right? We have to use recommend, we have to use because, and we have to give a good reason. Okay, good. And some of you are using poder, right? Poder would be a good verb if you want to say you can go wherever, or you could say I recommend wherever because. Okay, so this is Ethan's answer. I'm gonna share it in the chat. I hope that's okay. In this answer, we get full marks, right? Puedes ir al restaurante de Mario que está en Bonaccord porque la comida es deliciosa, right? All right, so we could say that. Puedes ir al restaurante. Well, I use de Miguel, right? Because that's the name of the restaurant in my head. Miguel's restaurant. Right? So, or you could also say recomienda. I recommend, recomiendo, sorry. El restaurante de Miguel. Now, I've deliberately avoided putting, but the recomiendo, I've avoided putting another verb here because the second verb would have to go in subjunctive, right? All right, we could use Tishon's reason. Although her restaurant was different, but porque is divertido, right? As a reason. Other reasons, porque es barato, is cheap. Right? Is the food is delicious, that's another one. Right? La comida es deliciosa. Okay. All right. Anything anybody wants to ask about with these situations? It's called situations, where you're given a few sentences that describe something you have to communicate in writing. Right? It's usually you have to leave a note or send an email or send a text. And you're not expected to write more than one sentence, maybe not even a sentence. Right? Well, I mean, I think that's what you meant by the it's, unless you meant, oh, right, sorry, subjunctive. So if you use recomendar plus another verb, the second verb, because the subject is changing, will have to go into subjunctive. All right. Is there a topic, any topic anybody wants us to do because you're doing it in school? Okay, so next week we're going to continue with negative commands. And I think next week might be the last week we spend with the topic of restaurants and food. And then we're going to move on to another vocabulary topic after that, most likely, right? So next week, we'll continue with negative commands. Letter writing, okay, no problem. We could probably do that next week too. But if you need it before then, you could go to the summer videos on the website, and we spent the I think it's the Thursday class or the Friday class spent a lot of time on letters. So you can check those out if you need it before then, right? All right, so letter writing, negative commands. And we didn't get to do the listening. I'm sure you're all heartbroken. We'll try and do that next week too, right? All right, so this week we worked on por and para. Then we started on positive commands and we did a few situations. All right, in between when we have time, we'll try and put in one or two situations as we go. All right? All right, guys, take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening. There's no new homework. You're still working on the link that I sent last week. That's due by the end of October, right? Take care, everybody.